Hi, I'm Dr. David Dobson. Welcome to Conversations. Today, my guest is Dr. Venkatesh Shankar. Venkatesh is a professor of marketing at Cox School of Business, Southern Methodist University in Texas. He received his PhD in marketing from Kellogg School, Northwestern University. Today, we will discuss retail marketing and customer engagement. It's a great pleasure to have you on my show, Venkatesh.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Venkatesh, you have been in academia for more than 3 decades teaching marketing. What brought your interest to academia?
Great question. I'm an accidental scholar, if I were to use that term. I was, as you can see from my background, I was an engineer by training.
Yeah.
And after that, I got my MBA. And I worked for 4 years in the corporate world, mainly working with the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, HSBC, in the areas of retail banking, corporate banking, and business development and finance. And then the bug to do something more curious, interesting, intellectually stimulating hit me. And I was fortunate to get into the PhD program at Kellogg. And at that time, my role model, mentor, and inspiration was Phil Kotler. And so I was so excited to join the program. And I'm very blessed and fortunate because it's, even till date, Phil is my mentor, although I ended up not doing my PhD under him, but I was so fortunate to do my PhD under two great scholars, Lakshman Krishnamurti and Greg Carpenter. But that actually propelled an interest in me to be a scholar, academic, educator, influencer, thought leader, and a consultant. And that's what has been my journey so far, ever since my graduation. And I am so fortunate and so lucky to have had the experience that I've had so far.
Wonderful. And I understand that you have done a lot of teaching and research in retail marketing. And why retail marketing?
Uh, it's a very good question. Retail, I wouldn't call it just retail marketing. It's
Okay.
marketing and in the retail world.
Okay.
So you can call it retailing in broader context. If you look at
Okay.
retailing, is an industry that every one of us is in touch with day to day as a consumer, as a shopper, and it is the customer facing aspect of most industries. And in terms of volume and value, retailing occupies such an enormous chunk of the economy, right? Out of the
Yeah.
30 trillion US economy, you can say about 6 to 7 trillion is in retail. And that's just the value, but also in terms of jobs, about quarter of all the jobs in the US is retailing driven. World over, it's not very dissimilar. And so it's a natural place for us to be curious and do research. And a lot of marketing is all about um, going into the retail world and interacting with the customers. So, and that explains why retailing. And if you look at the primary research that happens in marketing, a lot of the data comes from the customer world, individuals and shoppers. And so that also has fueled a lot of research in it. And so I was, as I said, I'm an accidental scholar, so I stumbled upon it. And I was also very fortunate because I would say I was one of the first scholars to do work at the dawn of the internet era. So back in the mid 90s, when we had e-commerce started in 1994, Amazon, I was at the throes of that, and it helps uh, fuel my interest, and
Mhm.
also the data and the phenomena helped me to concentrate and focus more on the research questions that were very important at that time and remains very important even till today. Although the nature of the landscape has evolved a lot and the types of questions have changed, but retailing has remained very vibrant throughout the
Yeah.
last 3 decades.
So I want to ask you, what has retail marketing changed in the last 30 years?
Yeah, as I said, a lot has changed. Starting from the birth of Amazon, which
Yeah.
is basically the birth of internet interactive digital marketing,
Yeah.
e-commerce, and
Mhm.
we saw a lot of shakeout initially, the
Yeah.
uncertainty of dot-com
Yeah.
boom and bust, and
Yeah.
then reshaping of that. Then we saw the emergence of search marketing.
Mm,
Google was the pioneer for
mm,
that,
mm,
and and then we saw the emergence of social media with Facebook dominating
yeah.
from starting in the mid 2000s, and then we got into mobile marketing, which really caught on fire. And simultaneously, we saw the different generations that we talk about, Gen X, Gen Y, um, Gen Z, and now Generation Alpha. So all of these were associated with some kind of innate fluency in certain media, certain touch points, certain um, uh, technology, and they started changing. So, for example, we had the
Mm,
Gen Zs,
mm,
we associated with people who were born in 1996 or after
mm,
for the next 15 years or so. And they are basically, they grew up with not just internet, but mobile, social, and so on. So that changed how the perspective of shoppers was and how marketers have to market differently. And then now we have uh, in the mid 2010s, like 2015 or so, the emergence of AI.
mm,
Now, more rapidly, AI is evolving into generative AI now, agentic AI moving
mm,
forward. Lots of technology innovations are in store.
yeah.
So all of these have reshaped retailing, reshaped the consumer behavior, shopping behavior,
Mm,
and also have uh, enhanced
mm,
companies' abilities to market themselves,
mm,
and also kind of disrupted the landscape and business models of a lot of enterprises. So I would say it's a fascinating time to be in retail because
yeah.
lots of action is taking
Yeah.
place, lots of changes are taking place. And with that, we are learning as researchers,
Yeah.
as decision makers, and as
Mm,
consumers.
yeah. Thank you. How do you describe the transformation consumer face, the retail consumer face, in 1990s and in prior, we have those physical stores and now we have online stores. And I remember when Amazon came out, people said we're only going to buy a book or just buy an airline ticket. But now people buying groceries, buying everything we can think of. So how does the consumer
Right.
behavior change over this last 30 years?
Yeah, phenomenally. If you think about it, now let's start with today's news. Today, Amazon is expected to surpass Walmart in sales revenues in a quarter, right?
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal achievement. Just to put it in perspective, Walmart does
Mm,
180 billion dollars in last quarter sales,
mm,
and that's tremendous.
mhm.
It's really the largest company in sales revenues.
Yeah.
And for Amazon, an upstart 30 years ago, starting primarily with e-commerce or the online channel, to overtake Walmart. It's expected to do $187 billion in last quarter. It's a phenomenal achievement. And David, you put put it in the right perspective. We've evolved from a primarily brick and mortar environment to now what we call an omni-channel environment, where
Mm,
there is not only the availability of offline and online channels
yeah.
of transaction or distribution, but also the interplay of a lot of these channels, technologies, touch points, media, all of them. The shoppers is going back and forth multiple times,
Mhm.
and the evolution has taken place um, in in ways that marketers did not anticipate how quickly they have evolved. For example, the adoption of mobile.
Mm,
We know that
mm,
mobile devices have penetrated a lot of smartphone penetration has
mm,
happened almost universally across the world,
yeah.
but the emergence of apps, mobile apps, for example, has transformed how shoppers shop. So 85% of all shopping originates in a mobile app or mobile device right now. And so consequently, people start searching using mobile. They even if they have to go to brick and mortar, mobile app is used to do searching and locating stores. We know all the different ways in which now we can shop. We can buy online, pick up in stores. We can buy online, get it delivered. We can buy online, return in store. We can buy in store, return through online channel. There's a lot of ways in which we have started experiencing. And, by the 2020, the pandemic accelerated a lot. And David, you mentioned
Mm.
grocery shopping now
Yeah.
being influenced a lot by mobile, influenced a lot
Yeah.
by online and
Yeah.
digital. And
Yeah.
that's primarily the acceleration that we saw from COVID, where look, grocery was the last bastion of industry to
Mm.
embrace or adopt online
Mm.
channel. Today,
Yeah.
it's a very vibrant and thriving channel.
Yeah.
And the good thing from a marketer's point of view is that it allowed marketers to be more direct
Mm.
and collect data about
Mm.
customers' behavior, preferences, needs, and wants. And also, it allowed them to cut costs and save
Mm. Yeah.
on a lot of things
Yeah.
because you don't need people, you don't need a lot of
Mm.
physical infrastructure
Mm.
to satisfy customer needs and wants
Yeah.
anymore. Now
Yeah.
you have to adapt. And
Yeah.
plus the emergence and the growth of the different generations, the
Yeah.
Gen Zs and
Yeah.
now the Gen Alphas, they're so native to technology changes.
Yeah.
So it becomes much easier for firms to do both from the demand side as well as the cost side to be more efficient and more effective, so to speak. So I think we've learned a lot as both researchers and managers how to really ride this technology wave uh, for the benefit of firms, consumers, and the society as a whole.
Yeah. Nice. Venkatesh, what are some key changes in retail marketing strategy you have noticed?
Yeah, the first and foremost, as we talked about, is omnichannel marketing.
Yeah.
Now, every retailer, whether it's primarily brick and mortar or primarily digital, is having an omnichannel strategy.
Yeah.
And that means starting the customer journey as a cycle that can originate anywhere, any touch point, any device, any medium, any screen, and then how it evolves, what are the different ways in which people navigate their shopping journeys, and looking at the points of influence. So I have a book called Shopper Marketing where I do talk about this customer journey or shopping
Mm.
shopping cycle, where uh, regardless of firms in what space they are in, they have to start monitoring and tapping. Even B2B firms have to start customer journey mapping, understanding the customer um, shopping cycle and see where are the points of influence, where do they need different media or channels to be receptive to them. So how to use different technologies and human beings in conjunction with one another. Now with the emergence of AI, how do I use AI
Mm.
to power
Mm.
decision making of just not managers, but to better understand
Mm.
customer journey better. And so the change is complete different view
Mm.
of uh, how to view the shopping experience. If you think about traditional retailing, David, it used to be that you have a store, people used to come and people used to look at all the assortments and
Yeah.
then they'll make the choices
Yeah.
and as store associates you'll help them and so on. But now it's all 180 degrees. You start from the customer starts the journey from a mobile device or a smart speaker or a technology device, and then you have the customer information, and then you start analyzing that. You look at juxtapose the interactions with the human beings with the technology, and then you analyze. You have more proactive recommendations, personalized recommendations. You create offerings, you create baskets. All of these things are um, entirely customer centric now, more so than before. So you're not waiting for customers to come into your store to start the process, right?
Yeah.
And so that is a big change in retail strategy, mindset, and how you go about marketing to customers.
Yeah. Today's consumers are considered more powerful as they research a product before making a purchase. As you just mentioned,
Correct.
start the journey from the mobile device. They can
Right.
compare prices, reading product reviews. How does the power shift from retailer to consumers force companies to become more customer centric?
Right. I think you've captured it. The power is already it's been shifting,
Yeah,
it's shifting more and more.
yeah,
But the successful or effective marketers are those who want to anticipate and embrace this quicker. That's why
yeah,
companies like Amazon, they have not only redefined the landscape retailing, but they have also redefined how to be personalized, how to market to those changes. And
yeah,
customers are having their own tools now, right?
yeah,
They have
yeah,
their price comparison
yeah.
engines. They
Hmm.
have now AI tools to help
Yeah,
them. Now, the agentic AI is here.
yeah, yeah,
OpenAI launched the operator, which is the preliminary version of the agent AI tool that
yeah,
allows customers to make decisions. So if you want to make travel bookings, you can instruct them to simply, follow the instructions and they can independently do the task. Of course, with varying degrees of success and
mm,
results.
mm,
Uh, but the point is the power is with the customer, and the customers are using agents, customers are using tools,
yeah,
and the consumer or the shopper is also using comparisons. And all of these things have to be baked in by the marketer or the retailer, right? So
mm,
if customer behavior is like this, how do I proactively play in this, right?
yeah,
So in other words, how do I embed my brand or offerings in my customized
mm,
recommendations,
mm,
customer service,
mm,
for example,
mm,
chatbots are now more and more powerful in
mm,
customer service. They're
mm,
more pointed, personalized interactions. All of these are changing the way the power equation is changing marketing.
yeah,
But good firms can are the ones that can understand that and then pivot themselves, and that's what is also creating challenges for a lot of uh, retailers.
yeah,
But that doesn't mean everything is technological because
yeah,
there's so much of value in in-person experience.
mm, mm,
For example, brick and mortar stores and in-person experience still dominates. You have 75% or 80% are still the transactions are still going on in the offline world.
yeah,
Um, so the key is to understand how they interact.
yeah,
So we completed research, got published in Marketing Science recently with myself and Tao A, which was on the impact of retail closures, physical closures. And what
mm,
we find is fascinating. If retailers don't understand the omni-channel implication of that, they could be making some wrong decisions. So if you
mm,
close a store, it has a lot of unintended consequences. So we call this opening a store closing a store to open a Pandora's box, right? So, in
mm,
other words, it impacts how customers use your mobile app, how they would buy offline, and if they had the store been there, they could have had a richer experience, and they could negatively impact how they shop otherwise. So,
yeah,
bottom line is marketers and retailers have to understand the totality of the shopping experience and the customer journey. And that is where the power of the customer shift has to be
mm,
better understood
yeah,
by the retailer. And that is all
yeah,
data driven now,
yeah,
more and more data driven than before.
yeah. AI technology continue to grow and evolve. How has AI changed the retailing landscape?
Yeah, I would say AI is changing because it's continuous.
Yeah,
First, we started with
yeah,
uh, predictive or typical what we call as a traditional AI tools, which are
mm,
basically meant for doing analysis of customer
mm,
data and then
yeah,
predicting behavior, recommending, and so on. Then you have the generative AI, which
yeah,
started with ChatGPT,
yeah,
which allowed you to create. Possibilities and offerings, and primarily
mm,
used a lot in product descriptions for
mm,
retailers. Does it in a jiffy, ad copy generations, email marketing campaigns, enhancing search marketing, digital search engine optimization, a lot of areas in which generative AI is very, very powerful and useful. So that has changed some of the practices of that. Now
mm,
we're going to talk briefly about agentic AI,
mm,
the fact that you can use AI agent autonomous
mm,
for fulfilling and creating tasks, not only
mm,
from a customer's shopper standpoint, but also from the point of view of managers, decision making, creating that, and how do we use that effectively? And there are two sides that every business has to look at: the demand side and the cost side, or the supply chain related side.
mm,
So AI has been very helpful in lowering costs, automating a lot of tasks, being more precise on the cost front, supply chain management,
mm,
um, shelf space management,
mm,
inventory optimization,
mm,
and so on. But AI's brought a lot of benefits from the
mm,
demand side. So
mm,
understanding demand management, customizing, personalizing, um, doing generative AI, you can do more quickly a lot of things, right? With
mm,
segmentation, you can use synthetic data. You don't have to depend on surveys
yeah,
and detailed data generation, which can take months
yeah,
for, let's say, new products and new categories launching. And that has also changed quite a bit. And now, how do we leverage all types of data, not just your customer based data, but also social media data and other third party data? All of these things require a lot of data analysis, data science methods. And then how do we engage those customers? Because that's very key to acquiring them, retaining them, and then keeping them valuable, enhancing your own firm value. All of these things are, lots of ways in which AI is helping
mm,
firms. But the trick is to understand how to think about it at the high level, and how do you basically make your investments, and how do you deploy those investments? How do you implement them? How do you learn as you go? How do you do the A/B tests, experiments, learn more about customer demand, and improve your processes and decision making as you go along? And that is where AI is a continuous journey. That's why I'm saying it's continuously being used by firms.
right. Venkatesh, you recently wrote a commentary on the dual nature of AI in Journal of Macro Marketing, where you urged businesses and policymakers to embrace responsible AI principles. Can you share the risk you are concerned with regarding AI development?
Sure. I think whenever we talk about AI, we have two spectrums, extremes. On
Mm.
the one hand, AI is all good, AI is magic, is going to really change our lives, which is all true. There's a lot of potential and
Yeah,
capabilities of AI. But the
yeah,
other end of the spectrum is all doomsday. AI is going to overtake, they are going to go rogue, and the world will not exist. Human beings may be wiped out. But,
yeah.
the reality is, we don't know to what extent these capabilities or these
Mm,
will be realized. But AI is evolving,
mm,
at a very frenetic pace.
mm,
As you can see, the race is
mm,
on. It's not
mm,
just between US and China
mm,
as sovereign countries, but
mm.
it's also about how humanity harnesses the AI development, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why I think my commentary was talking a lot about, hey, here are the big promises of AI. These are the perils of AI. How do we
yeah,
balance the two?
yeah,
How do we first of all recognize a
yeah,
responsible AI is basically adhering to guardrails in AI development, to a certain path of AI development, which makes sure that all the doomsday or the negative aspects of AI are not only minimized, but also don't put us in a path of no return into a negative territory. So I think irresponsible AI refers to not only the fact that AI safety, which is what I've been talking about, but also areas like algorithmic
mm,
bias.
mm,
So do not make sure that marginalized communities are not or adversely
mm, mm.
impacted, and that happens in marketing all the
Yeah,
time. Because we know that lending practices have some bias, employment practices have biases. All of these have to be minimized and mitigated. responsible AI includes also a responsible way of ensuring people's welfare and economic prosperity, right? So
Yeah.
we cannot have massive job displacement that will create unrest, chaos.
Yeah.
So we need to really have gradual transitions as much as possible. So, it also about privacies, right? Healthcare is a great example where responsible AI is so important because you cannot manipulate people's data and be denied the care and the coverage that they deserve and they should be given. So
Yeah.
we can go on a number
Yeah.
of ways in which responsible AI has to be looked at,
Yeah.
and so uh, everybody agrees, from all the stakeholders agrees that there should be some guardrails on AI, but there should be also regulation. They have to balance regulation against innovation because too much of regulation
Yeah.
stifles innovation, so now it
Yeah.
doesn't allow. But at the same time, different countries have different standards. So we, as humanity, we should have a set of common standards.
Yeah.
So we should have lots of dialogues and work towards that. This is industry, government, consumer groups, and policy makers. All of them have to be working together for this. And that was my urge calling to a lot of people to embrace both sides of
Mm.
the equation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, very well said. Venkatesh, you have seen a lot in retailing. How do you see the future of retailing?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating era of retailing. If you ask me, uh, there's not a better time to be in retailing than now because
Okay.
retailing is undergoing tremendous transformation
Yeah.
and we are learning a lot. We're really unleashing the
Yeah.
power of
Mm.
technology,
Mm.
unleashing all the benefits of that. But at the same time, we're also experiencing, understanding the pitfalls of that. And so, but unless we embrace all these things and learn, um, we cannot move forward. And so I feel retailing journey is still evolving, and it's fascinating to discover how retailing might evolve by a lot of predictions and forecasts. We are going to expect to see how the shopping itself will change, how how economies will start changing with technology and AI influencing them, and also this will embrace make people go back and really crave for human touch, human creativity, all of these things that can also be reshaped. But how valuable they might become because once technology start taking over,
Mm.
and also we were talking about humanoids and robots
Mm.
that would have that be as close to physical human beings as
Mm.
possible. They will provide companionship, they'll provide
Mm.
care, and so on. So we're really going through a very interesting phase where we will all these things are unfolding as we
Yeah.
speak, and we will see how this impacts retelling. So,
Mm.
for example, if you're shopping, you're not only going to shop with all this technological device, you might be actually interacting a lot with human-like uh, robots or
Yeah.
technologies.
Yeah.
And they might be companion not just for functional uses, but
Mm.
also for emotional assistance.
Mm.
A lot of these will evolve as we speak. And so it'll
Mm.
be fascinating in the next 10, 20 years.
Yeah. 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 Very interesting time. What is your advice to students who wish to study retail marketing?
My simple advice is stay very curious and be open, embrace all the changes, and be willing to adapt and learn. And I think uh, that would be the hallmark of successful people in the future. Because, um, but at the same time, be very prepared to dig deep and learn the basics, learn the backbones, the frameworks, the fundamentals, because we are fast approaching uh, a, a space where everybody thinks they have the tools for everything, right? So people now start using Chat GPT or
Yeah.
any generative AI tool to answer any questions, right?
Mm.
But we don't even know how to evaluate whether the answer is right or not, right?
Yeah.
And that is an important skill to have, and that can happen only when you learn the basics. So my strong suggestions: learn the basics and make sure why um, certain things happen, and even if you use the tools to be able to understand the answers to the questions and why the answers may be right or wrong, right? Because we know
Yeah.
that generative AI can hallucinate, have wrong predictions,
Mm.
but if you're not able to tell that, then your ability to succeed will be impaired. So I'd
Mhm.
say embrace all these things, be curious, open, but at the same time, be very strong in fundamentals and principles and learn them thoroughly.
Very well said. So, what is next for you, Venkatesh?
Yeah, I'm continuing in this fascinating journey. I feel like I'm so blessed and to be in the forefront of a lot of things that even as it happen. And I think this AI generation that we are witnessing is, once in multi generations. So for me, is to continuously keep drinking from the fire hose of what is happening here, learning more
Yeah.
and doing my research and probing into interesting questions, and then imparting that knowledge in the classrooms, in the boardrooms, and be also involved in some dialogue shaping the developments. So that's my future for now.
Very well. Thank you for your time, Venkatesh, and best wishes to you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.